Hey everybody, welcome to CastorsCorner.com. I'm your host Cleo here for another toy of the day. You can go to CastorsCorner.com for a full gallery of this guy, and this lady, as well as a past archive of all of our videos. You can follow us. We are at Castors Corner. You can check out the Cornercast podcast up on Apple Podcasts every Monday night, although we took a few weeks off and we're going to continue that for right now. But we're coming back soon in the next couple weeks, so we're excited about that. So I was lucky enough to find these guys the other day, and really it's been a busy week for Marvel Legends, let me tell you. 4 waves over 2 weeks is kind of insane. And so, these are the comic-based characters in the line right now, in the wave here. And they have their ups and downs. They have some really good things, and they have some not so good things. But let's, Morlun here is definitely a why do we need this? A kind of weird vampire-ish character that came out of when Peter was dealing with the spider totems, and his powers were evolving, and it was a really good run. I'm going to say that. I loved that run where he was a science teacher, his powers were evolving, his marriage was evolving, like Aunt May learned that he was Spider-Man. There was just depth to the character of Peter Parker that after they did the One More Day and the whole not Mysterio, Mephisto thing, that like just kind of lost interest. Like Brand New Day, that whole thing, new Spider-Man, no MJ, it threw me out. I was done. I really was. And so we get this character, which is cool. Those hands definitely are probably going to be used for Morbius at some point when they do it. Very similar in look for that. Everybody actually, when they saw the tease for it, thought it was going to be that. We get a open mouth head, and then we get a kind of closed mouth smile head as well. And there'll be close-ups of these up on the website that you can check out. What I think kind of that stood out to me more so than anything with this figure is that we get a character with kind of like a jacket with tails and kind of like this front jacket part, and I really looked at it and said, it's nice to round out Spider-Man's villains. It's nice to have another villain that we've never had before, which is always nice when we get something we've never had before. It's a little more impressive. But what really kind of got my attention was this jacket and idea here, and I just thought to myself, we could do a Jarvis now, like comic Jarvis. We got the tails, right? It might not be exactly right, but you get this kind of tuxedo look to him, and why not do Jarvis? So maybe we'll get an old man Jarvis at some point. I think that's kind of what stood out to me. But as far as like, do I need this whole wave overall was kind of one of those things where I'm like, I get it. They don't want to give any spoilers away. They can't really do what they need to. So here's what we're going to get from it. But I can't say that this is an action-packed wave. So the other one, we get Shriek here. And she's well done. Like, there's no doubt. Like, really well done. We've seen, like, the belt and the hands and the body here. Although she is pinless. She is definitely pinless here on the arms and the legs. Very specific look. We got Venom Let There Be Carnage out in theaters now. So it's kind of appropriate. We get a Shriek figure because they can't do... Well, I mean, they could do figures for that, but they're not doing, like, full waves. So at least we get her in comic book form. She comes with spellcasting hands, which they just give all the females lately. She comes with fists and open hands. So you get some open hands, you get fists. So at least she's packed with accessories. I'll say that. Armadillo here, the Build-A-Figure for this wave, is pretty impressive. Like, he looks really cool. He's got all the armoring on the arms, on the legs, these great claws on both the feet and the hands, this grimacing face. he's going to look great with all the other Spider-Man villains and all the MCU villains. Looks really good like this. And then you go to take some action shots, or you try to pose him. And when you move his arms and try to do anything, this piece pops off. So here's the biggest issue I have here. This plating, right, it's just one back piece. It fits here. So if you try to, you could theoretically have him grabbing a Spider-Man figure here, and kind of, grabbing him by the head like you see so many villains do. Oop. But you can't raise him up at all. So you can you tell I'm going to do Miles too if you haven't already seen that video. So here's the thing, you can't really do this because look at how that looks. It would have been really nice if this piece, and so customizers can kind of figure out probably how to make this work, but the plating here allows for these cuts that you could probably make. And there's part of me that kind of wants to get an extra back piece just to see if I can pull this off. But you can kind of cut along some of these lines here, and you could probably glue it onto the ball joint here, and then put this back in his back, and it would allow you a range of motion that we see with the Iron Man figures, with the pads they've been improving on, and we've seen that with a couple other characters. But I get it. It's a Build-A-Figure. It's already taking a lot of money because of all the tooling needed to kind of make this. But then the problem is you kind of lose any articulation you put into it because this back piece just, it's made to be removable, which is great. But there's no cuts in here. There's no breaks. So if you stress any one part of it, the whole piece moves. And, you want to be able to make these a little more dynamic. And the plastic is also thicker around these plate pieces here. Around here, there's kind of levels here. Even though it's all smooth underneath, you can kind of see how it's built up. And because of that, it doesn't allow for any kind of movement in the shoulders. So I would say that's my biggest disappointment. I usually love the comic figures in all of these waves, honestly. The comic figures happen to be usually my favorites. Unfortunately, this wasn't a full winner for me as far as waves go. I think it was a necessity to kind of build out the Spider-Man world. I think it was to save some face as far as putting out product for No Way Home without giving away any spoilers, which I really appreciate, Disney. I didn't even need a trailer, to be honest with you. I didn't need a trailer. I would have been fine without it. But it's a little bit of a lackluster wave. I'll admit that. And there is definitely color variations I can see here and here. You can kind of see it there. And then the plating here, it gets lighter and dark, kind of matte here to a little bit glossier reddish hue brown here. So those kind of color variations also kind of, I don't know. Overall, it's a good addition. Again, you kind of build out the rogues gallery that Spider-Man has, but there's nothing kind of oh my god, this is so incredible about the villains here, other than, hey, look, I've got more villains. And so the Build-A-Figures have been really good. There's two of them back there. You got Kingpin, you got Hyde back there. Those were great this year. And the Watcher was really good, that you'll see at some point. And Colossus in the Age of Apocalypse wave, even giving us an extra character in the Eternals was a good idea. I like the idea. I'm not crazy about the execution. So you can check out a full gallery of all these guys up on castorscorner.com. Follow us. We are at Kastor's Corner on all social media, and check out the Cornercast podcast. Catch up on old episodes now before we start our new season, I guess. And we really appreciate it. And hit the subscribe button. The more of you that subscribe, the more cool things we get to do, and we get to share them with you. And really, that's been a lot of fun. Some of the most fun of this whole thing. And so, as we say every night, Jaxie, we miss you, and come back tomorrow for a all new toy of the day here on CastorsCorner.com. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good night.